Welcome back to Blender Frenzy. I am Justin, and we are going to continue our borderline animation. This is the last video in this series. If you want to see the other ones, go click on the card above, but we are going to get started right away. This is what we did last time. We created this little mask for our border animation. You can see the mask over here, and you can see as the text comes up into that mask, or out of that mask, it kind of fades up into existence, and then it goes back down and fades out. So that's what we did last time. And this time we're going to overlay it onto a little vignette first, and then we will add a little video after that. So let's press Shift left arrow to go back to the start at frame 1. And then I'm going to click and just press G and then Y, and then move my strip up a couple here so we can add some more strips down here in the bottom. Then I'm going to press Shift A to add in a color, and then GY again. And the reason I'm pressing Y is so that if I move my mouse cursor left or right, it's not going to move it. It's just going to move it up and straight up and down on the Y axis, so to speak. Okay, click there. And now I want to change and make this color last just as long as this strip over here. So I want to match that. And it's really easy to do. Just grab one of these handles here just by clicking on it and then press G. And as you grab it, what you can do is press and hold Control. And as you press and hold Control, you can see it snaps to that end. But if I keep pressing Control and then move my mouse, you can see it will snap to either this end or that end. And what determines that is which half of the strip my cursor is hovering over. So you can see if it's hovering over this side, it snaps to the beginning. If it goes halfway over to the other side, it'll snap to the end. So that is a really quick way that you can align strips to each other. It's also the same if you just grab it. So if I grab this strip, G, and then Control to snap it to the end. Now that also depends on where you place your cursor when you press G. So right here, if my mouse cursor is on the front half of the strip that I select, and I press G and I press and hold Control, it will snap the front end to whichever end is closer for my cursor for the other strip, if that makes sense. So it's going to line up the front of this strip, the color strip. So, but if I drop this here and then I press G, well, I'm hovering over the latter half of the strip, and then I press and hold Control, it's going to snap the end of the strip to whichever my cursor is closest to. So just be careful with that. The placement of your cursor really does matter. And that goes both for the strip that you've selected and the strip that you're snapping it to. Okay, so now that we've got it the same size, I'm going to select it and Shift D to duplicate it. Press Y so that it doesn't move left or right, and then drag it down and drop it here. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want the vignette to be on this one, the middle one, and then under here I'm going to have a little bit of a different color. So right now, if I drag my playhead, you can see you can't see these colors. You just still see the transparent checkerboard. And that's because our meta strip needs to be changed. If we come over here to strip tab, and then the blend mode needs to be alpha over instead of replace. So now we have it hovering over a black color. So we can select this strip and then click this color, and then we can start to change the color. And you can see as you change the color, the background color changes. So we could do something like that. And then you can either play with the RGB curves here, like that, to change the color. Or I like to do the hue, saturation, and value. So I kind of find like a color that I like. Like a blue something or other. And then I just play with the value and the saturation there until I get something that I like. So that's one way. And then you can test it out, of course. And of course, I have to cache it in, so it's going to take a little while. Okay, so this is what it would look like over a solid color. So it's easy enough. You just put a color in and choose the color. And make sure it's underneath the meta strip. So if I move this on top of it, you're just going to see the color. Because Blender shows the preview here as if the camera was up here looking down onto the strips. So the top strip is going to be shown first, then the next one, and then the next one. So let's move this back down here. And since this, if you right click on these, by the way, oh, nope, not right click, shift right click on these. Now, it used to be just right click. Now it's shift right click. On the strip, you can see just that individual strip. And part of me, while I have some gum, I have a bit of a cold and my throat's bothering me now. So if I want to finish this tutorial, I have to have some gum. So I'll try not to smack it too much here. So the shift right mouse button will allow you to see individual strips, and that's really helpful if you have stuff stacked up so you don't have to hide and unhide things. If I wanted to see the black color here, shift right click, and then you can see that black color as well. Okay, so now I don't want this color to be a blue. I actually just want this to be black because that's going to be our vignette. And let's go ahead and, well, let's change this color. So I'm going to change this to a kind of a lighter gray type, something like that. Maybe something a little bit darker, but we can always play with that later. Okay, so now just like we did before with our mask for our text, we're going to add in another mask. So come up here and scroll over to where it says mask text, and then click this button, which is to create a new mask. Now, of course, I'm going to do underscore V because I don't want to spell out vignette, and enter. So we have our mask V and our mask text. So we have two masks here. And this time, if we scroll back over here, we're going to add in a circle instead of a square. And it adds it over here in this corner. I'm going to press G to grab that and move it over here into the center-ish. I'm just eyeballing it here. I'm going to press S to scale. I'm going to scale that up. And then I'm just going to click to let go. And remember, what's going to happen now if we, well, I'll show you. So with our color strip selected, the first one here, we're going to go to Modifiers tab, Add Strip Modifier, Mask, Mask for the mask input type, and then under Mask, we're going to choose our Mask V. And boom, now we have a black circle. And this is because, if you remember, our mask, the black and white mask, shows everything that is in the white, and everything in the black is invisible. So in this case, our black color is visible in the white space, if that makes any sense. So we're going to have to invert this again, of course, and if you remember how to do that, you just come over here to press N on the keyboard, N as in November, come down here to opacity, and then click the icon to flip the black and the white there. And then hover your mouse down over here, press Control R to refresh, and now we have a black background with a little hole cut out where everything in the black over here is invisible in our preview. And that's what we want. So I'm going to hide this again by pressing N. And so now let's feather this a little bit here. So let's press Alt S to feather and drag our mouse out a little bit, something like this. Actually, drag our mouse out quite a bit. And then click, say something like this. So come down here with your mouse cursor, press Control R again to refresh. And now we can see our vignette starting to appear. Now let's go ahead, and the reason we can't see the color below it, of course, is because this color, what do we have to do? We have to go back to strip and change the blend mode from cross to alpha over. And now we can see all of the transparent areas now in the color strip are being shown through to the lighter color strip. And now we have something that looks like this. So it looks like a little bit of a spotlight. And we could play this too again. Of course, mine would have to cache in here for a while, but I'm not going to do that because I know that I want the vignette to be a little bit more subtle and soft. So I'm just going to start playing with the shape of this here. So over here, I'm going to press S and then X to scale just on the X axis, which is the left and right, and find something. I'm just kind of playing here right now. Um, you can size this to your liking. I'm going to do S and then Y to scale that up just a little bit more. Get a nice oval here going, something like that maybe. And then Control R down here to see what we have. Yeah, so that's not looking too bad. I'm actually going to scale this whole thing in a little bit, like this, and then I'm going to press Alt S again to scale that feather, and I'm just going to scale that feather a lot more out. Well, maybe not that much more. It's hard to tell with my computer going so slow. Okay, click, Control R. Yeah, so that's looking good there. Yeah, I kind of like that there. I could maybe bring that scale that feather in just a little bit, but no, that looks kind of nice there. So I'm going to go ahead and press play and cache this in. Okay, it's cached in here, and this is what it looks like now. And that looks pretty spiffy. And we can keep playing that over and over again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these three here by clicking on one handle, press Shift, and then hold and click on the other handles. I'm going to press G, and I'm just going to grab those out just a little bit here. We'll go to frame 140, and then I'm going to press page up to go to the end. Page up and page down will go to the ends of the strips. So let's go back to the end here, and then I'm going to press my left arrow to go one backwards, because if you notice, this is 140, but the next frame shows transparent, shows nothing, because the frame at the very end of the strip is actually the next frame. So you have to go back one to 140, and then I'm going to press Control End to end the frame range here. You can also just go over here and type in 140 in the end. And since I've lost all my cache again, I'm just going to go ahead and adjust this a little bit more. I'm going to just size this down just a tiny bit to bring in more of that vignette. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good right there. Got the nice soft edges, but got the dark corners. And yeah, so let's cache this in again. Okay, let's see what that looks like here. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. And then it hangs, after all the text and everything is gone, it hangs on that background for a little bit, and then it just recycles. I was going to say recycle. It cycles through. Yeah, so like that. Okay, so last thing, now let's say we want to keep this, but instead of this gray color underneath, we want a video. So I did prepare a little video for this. I'm just going to go ahead and bring that in here. Okay, and I actually rendered this clip without any sound, so I don't have an audio, but if you did have an audio, you could just delete it if you don't want the audio in there. But I'm just going to stretch. Oh, I guess I probably shouldn't stretch those out. Well, we're going to bring these in to match that. Again, I'm pressing and holding Control to snap all of those to the end here. We're going to press page up, and then left arrow to go back one. Press Control End to make that the end of our frame range. Okay, so now I want to take this color, and we're going to make this all the way black again, and then we are going to change the blend mode again from cross to alpha over, because we want it to the transparency to go through it a little bit. And then we're going to just turn down the opacity. So something like, if we turn down the opacity, it's going to look like this. And we still have the top color is our vignette around it. But it doesn't look quite right because it goes right into the full image. So I like to have the second one here just be kind of just dim that a little bit like that. Okay, something like that, or maybe even a little bit more. We'll just do 0.5 here. We'll do exactly half. So I'm just going to click in here, type in 0.5, enter, something like this, and now we cash in. Alrighty, and here we are. So we have something that looks like this. Pretty sleek and elegant, I think, if you're doing a little promo video for something or a little introduction. Yeah, so this is how you would do that. And that's it. That concludes the 5-part series here for this borderline animation. A couple of extra tidbits in there, including masking and some, vignettes and all of that stuff. But that's how you would create it on your own. Of course, there's a much easier way to do this, and that is with easy borders. And you can check that out by going over to my courses. And if you want to support me, please consider making a purchase on there. I've got 2 options: the Easy Borders course, the main course, and then you have an expansion pack. The expansion pack is going to be closing soon. So get it while you can. If there's enough interest in the expansion pack, then I will create it. But right now it's pre-order. I want to see who's all interested in it. Anyway, here's a promo for that now. If you want an easier way to create these borders, you can use the Easy Borders rig that I created specifically for creating quick 2D borderline animation for things like titles and name tags for your videos. The rig has drag and drop handle controls, sliders, and color swatches to quickly adjust the size, position, and color of the border and fill. You can also easily make text appear and disappear with the vanish controls. Everything is on one screen, so you don't have to keep switching back and forth between panels and settings, and there are no add-ons required. The rig is just contained in a regular blend file, which means that it's ready to go straight out of the box. So if you're interested, head on over to my new course platform at courses.blenderfrenzy.com, where you can watch the welcome video and check out the Easy Borders course and expansion pack. Just click on one of the course options to see what's all included, plus a full description of the course. The course contains 6 modules, including a full introduction and Blender setup for those who are not yet familiar with Blender, 2 quick start modules to get you animating your first easy border in just minutes, a beginner's animation module, and much, much more. Right now, Easy Borders is still in early access, which means it's 50% off the normal price. This is only for a limited time, so if this is something that interests you and you'd like to show your support, come on and get it while the offer still stands. Just go to courses.blenderfrenzy.com and click on the course, and then click Add to Cart. It is an online course, so create a new account and then you will have the option to purchase any of the courses that are offered. So I'm excited and I can't wait to see you there.